breaking some math here. Alright, so we are into Champion Select right now. As you can see, it's going to be Team Red Mercy. It's going to be a very easy thing to follow, as you do have Red Mercy leading the charge for that team. Even first choice, so really leading his team here. And it's going to be against Team Sivir Tibbers. I absolutely love LOL team names that have puns to them. Or cute little wordplay. So Ziggs being banned out, Kale and Riven coming out of Team Red Mercy. And Team Sivir Tibbers banning Zed, Nidalee, and Yasuo. Yasuo, of course, the newest champion added to the league. And all I gotta say is that crit chance, too OP. Annie being picked up as first choice. Now, one thing I have to note here is because these are brand new teams and some of them have never seen each other, never talked to each other, never played together, you're going to see possibly some weird stuff. So it's not the highest level of play, so they're not going to be, they're not going to have access to every single champion. So you really have to take into consideration how you organize your team based on, you know, what order you want to choose your roles, or what order you want to choose your high priority champions for that matter, as well as basically who's going to be making some shot calls early on. So as you can see here, Red Mercy definitely taking the lead for his team. Picks up that Annie. Very good choice. A super strong support, and that's going to be my assumption as to where she goes. However, of course, she started out as a mid laner. Definitely not going to take that away from her. MFG next picks up Vi, and MacUbex is going to pick up Ezreal. Still a pretty strong choice. Jinx is going to be thrown into the mix as well, it seems. I'm surprised to see no Lucian. Lucian in the recent season has been amazing. Just utilizing the passive that he's got there, paired up with some of the nice items that are in the mix. Definitely a strong champion, but Jinx is not very far behind that. In fact, and this is obviously just personal opinion, but from what I've seen out of the challenger scene, it is Jinx and Lucian at the top of the pile there. So he's going to slip by. Of course, it could be Ezreal mid, could be Ezreal top, Ezreal jungle, who knows. These guys are playing from all kinds of different ELOs, and they're coming from all kinds of different backgrounds. Some of them may even have a lot of experience in the ranked 5 scene, so they might be choosing champions that they're comfortable with based on what they've played with previous teams. Red Mercy, I know he's been on a couple of teams. Definitely a kind of a celebrity in the Toronto scene, and a celebrity just in general in the LoL scene. Very top of the game. Sukihana is going to grab Gragas here, and it's going to be Leona. Now, Leona as a support is also a really big deal. In my eyes, I think she does very well against Taric, who has really crashed onto the scene in Season 4. He's very, very strong. Just tanky supports in general are really, really strong. As well, supports overall have gotten a pretty good buff. Now, it's going to be Lissandra possibly picked up here, and like I said, if that is a Lissandra mid, we're most likely going to be seeing Annie bot lane here. And Annie bot with Jinx, that long-range poke coming out of both of those guys is going to be really impressive, as well as if Annie can get off that stun. With the communication there, if you fire off that Q, that's going to give Jinx a really good opportunity to land the snap trap. That's just a ton of CC. If you're landing that on an Ezreal, of course, he can arcane shift. If he starts the animation from his E, he's going to be able to get away from that CC, or at least back off of it, and still be stunned kind of on the opposite end of it. But we'll see how that's going to work out. Leona, of course, is going to be able to just take on that front line. It's just going to be really tough against the long range of Annie and the long range of Jinx. Now, we do have a Renekton coming out here as well. I'm curious to see where the switches are going to come in. I can only assume that Red Mercy is probably not going to be supporting, so I'm going to guess that he's going mid lane. I know a lot of these Diamond players like to take, basically take a leadership role, and mid lane is a great spot to do that from. You can roam around the map, you get the most farm. It's not like jungle where you can roam. You also are getting a lot of farm, and you're keeping up in terms of your CS. Just gold in general is going to be a really key factor, and if you don't stick a Diamond player mid against a really high rated Diamond player, you might be running into some problems there. But then again, you can never count these guys out. Nasus is going in there as well. Nasus is a super strong champion. By the end of Season 3, he was really, really big, and he's, of course, carrying over into Season 4, despite There's really interesting visual changes. So let's see how that works. Now, in terms of comps, I'm not expecting there to be amazing comps. Personally, if I were going into this tournament, I would just choose wombo combo comps the entire time. I am expecting to see a swap of Lysandra and Annie. There it is. So it's going to be Lysandra against Gragas and Wrath versus Red Mercy. That's definitely going to be a lane that I'm going to want to keep an eye on. And Vi in the jungle and Jarvan. This is taking me back to like the beginning of Season 3 where it was just, and actually the end of Season 2, there was just Vi and Jarvan all the time. And there's somebody else in there. I forget who the third guy was, but there's a third champion that if you didn't ban him, basically it was over. Or ban all three of them. Alright, and it will be Sukihana versus, I don't even know. I'm going to call him Sad. So Sad Dad, there we go. Sad Dad, Renekton against a Nasus. So the brothers are going to be duking it out. Bottom lane Ezreal, and he's going to go up against Jinx. One thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on here as well is the fact that you do have a teleport in the top lane for Nasus, and it's going to be an Ignite for Renekton. So Renekton, a very aggressive early champion, and I really expect that that will be the case, especially once Nasus gets rolling with the defensive items. One thing you got to watch out for is Nasus does not need to build much damage to do damage. It's basically he hits a breaking point at around 8 to 10 minutes, where if he farms up that Q enough, that's going to increase his damage. He can buy tanky items, and then he's going to have the passive lifesteal. So he's got the 3 key factors for being in lane, or really the 3 key factors for any lane, for any champion, is you've got sustainability, you've got damage, and you've got tankiness. Renekton, on the other hand, he's going to have to choose one way or the other. He could be going for a really early Brutalizer. I don't doubt that he'll be grabbing at least a Doran's Blade at some point, depending, of course, on the player. Not sure how these guys are going to be playing it, but if he goes for the Brutalizer, expect him to be super aggressive. He might also just kind of rush down the Sunfire Cape, which I'm also assuming Nasus is going to do. So, we're going to jump into this one. I am solo casting, but Jackson, again, he is going to be on his way. I know I had a tough time getting here. I had to chisel my car out. It's been sitting for about 5 days, and the ice storm just ravaged my car. Ooh, I get to come back on camera. I was playing with my lucky tape roll. Thank you, Mr. Streamer, man. That's a lovely switch. But yeah, so we're going to have a second caster here. I'm definitely going to be interested to see how the whole tournament plays out, not just this game. I feel like this game's pretty standard picks. Everybody's playing it really safe, but I think later on there's going to be a lot of switch-ups. Lysandra kind of isn't seen as much anymore in the LCS or the Challenger scene, but I don't doubt that she's going to be a really key factor to her team, and they've got Lysandra in there with Annie, with Jarvan. Like I said, you're going to be going for a massive wombo combo. Those are some of the champions to do it with. Not to mention, Lysandra's going to be able to engage really, really well. And that's another thing that I'm expecting to see as the tournament rolls on, is the players that are the higher rated, not only are they going to be playing mid lane, but they're going to be wanting to play champions that can engage and lead the team into the engagements. Communication is going to be a big deal. Everybody's going to be able to talk to each other. But in the end, it really comes down to who's actually going to be starting out those fights. And if you can do it with a mid lane champion, then more power to you. We are getting underway. I believe we've got a couple of seconds left here before the game starts up. Team Red Mercy versus Team Sivir Tibbers. And Team Sivir Tibbers will be purple side, Team Red Mercy on the blue side. Which Riot has done a great job, by the way, of balancing. I don't think that there's too many advantages. And we're underway here right now. Esports Canada bringing you the Solo Queue Hero Tournament. Let's see how everybody starts up. Oh, actually, we're into the loading screen now. I know where we're at. I know where we're at. I'm getting some cues here, but that means we're right around the corner. So this is actually not a bad cue because we are very, very close. We're at Net Effect Cafe, by the way. Thank you for hosting this. They've got some great internet, so I don't doubt, and some great computers. So we're probably gonna be no time at all. Now, one thing that kind of blew me away is I actually thought Red Mercy was like super, super high diamond, but he is diamond 5. that's not to take anything away from them. He could probably, I don't know, he could be smurfing, or like he could be playing different accounts or something like that, and just let his main account kind of slip a little bit. But either way, that is kind of where he stands currently, and he's still going to be a super entertaining guy to watch. Wrath as well is going to be really interesting. Now, I actually do know personally some of the players across the board here, so I'm going to possibly be trolling them, but off we go. This is going to be game 1, Red Mercy versus Sivir Tibbers, and the game has been paused. The League of Pauses, as it were. Let's take a look here. Ooh, some quick shop times out of the junglers. At least we got that far, but Vi, I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. Vi with the that much quicker fingers to get to that pot. I'm going to go ahead and say that Vi is going to be more of a threat. I'm calling it right now. Quick fingers, good mechanics. That's just the way it's going to be. I swear, if I get, if I'm like picking my nose one time when we do the camera switch, I'm just going to end it. I'm just going to quit. Oh yeah, what are we doing? But yeah, so I honestly can't call anything yet. I got my red duct tape roll, which I actually made. I used to do like cosplay and stuff like that, and I did a Dr. Mario cosplay, and red duct tape was like the key ingredient of the Dr. Mario cosplay. Just so you know, for all you viewers that have been really considering doing a Dr. Mario cosplay, red duct tape. Blue duct tape is pretty important too. But yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is out there. I can only imagine that it doesn't have much to do with the equipment. It's probably something player based. Maybe somebody had to go to the bathroom. I don't know. That could be a thing. These are all new players. We don't know their medical conditions or anything like that, but we're going back into it. And actually, I didn't mention the skin war here, but we've got the Vi skin, the Sunbathing Leona, Explorer Ezreal, and that's a hard one to notice. And on the opposite side, I can't tell. I don't think there actually is one, from what I'm noticing anyways. But anyways, we've got pings going down from red side. Now, invading might be interesting, and you can see here, and this is fascinating. This is fascinating to watch. The shop times are just so spread out. You can see literally, like, almost intervals, exact intervals coming out of the blue side, Red Mercy's team, as they're just kind of trickling in to the location that they want to get to. Sukihana is right behind that red buff, so he's going to be guarding that pretty well. However, it's going to be leading the charge here. It's going to be Renekton. Oh, really good call here from Red Mercy, and you're going to see that from the top level players as well. He hasn't taken an ability yet, nor has Sad Dad. And that's pretty indicative of high level play. Annie, on the other hand, even at high level play, you do want to kind of wait that out. Or not wait it out, rather. You want to take your W at level 1 and just start burning through it. Now, Nasus could be in a rough spot here, as he is going to show himself. Jinx has spotted it, it seems. Jarvan throws out his standard. I'm not sure exactly where that landed, but Sukihana coming around here. Red Mercy is going to catch him up. Sukihana's going to have to flash over the wall. Stun comes out from Annie, and first blood for Red Mercy. That is not the character you want to see it on, and I'm almost going to say that they planned for Red Mercy to get that kill. One thing to note is that the gold is actually not, or sorry, the gold exchange is not as valuable for First Blood. However, with all 4 characters getting an assist on that one, that's going to be a really big deal. I think more of a bigger deal than the gold that was given to Red Mercy here. And it's going to be so tough now for Gragas, a melee champion, to try to deal with not only the range of Red Mercy, but now that extra gold that he's got going on. However, a great job exchanging damage here and really utilizing the minion damage as he steps perfectly in his caster minion range. I know you can actually lose aggro if the casters aren't close enough, but he really draws out that aggro, and Red Mercy actually now losing in the HP war. Up in the top lane here, of course, Renekton versus Nasus. The brothers, better skin for Renekton. Let's see if that comes into play, and he is going to be taking a more aggressive stance with that Ignite. However, he also has a Doran's Shield. So, let's see how that works. And level 2 comes in for Ezreal Leona, and they take full advantage of that one. Down goes the Annie, and a flash, or sorry, a smite comes out there way too early from Vi, so she's not going to be able to steal away that red buff, but it is going to be some action happening as Jarvan continues the chase, looking for the flag and drag. I can only assume Red Mercy stepping into the fray as well. There's a flag and drag, red buff proc, and Ezreal comes in, but no, the chase is given up. Definitely would have utilized the fact that Red Mercy was there, however, Gragas could have stepped in, and he will actually be in that brush. So some early action going on here. And Renekton actually in top lane really beating on this tower early. Got a couple hundred health away from that one already. And the great thing about this position here, about pushing so aggressively early, is you notice Nasus actually could not hit Renekton. If he would have hit Renekton, even with the auto attack refresh from the Q, he would not have won the exchange because there were so many caster minions, and we were sitting here talking earlier about the utilizing the minions. Now we do have a gank coming in bottom lane here, however, MacubeX01 is going to push away that Jarvan, and unfortunately Jinx just cannot get in there and get too much damage done because she is forced to CS under tower. Tsukihana going up against Sad Dad here, trying to get some damage done, does actually do a great job of it. And the exchanging will be very precise there in the mid lane with those diamond players. Not sure what Stricken Blaze is doing bottom lane. Possibly just kind of helping these guys to farm it up, because MacubeX again is not very he's not very weak at this point, and Jinx is not very healthy, so we're gonna see how that works out. Sad Dad though really taking it to Tsukihana, utilizing that Q. I'm not sure what he's maxing first, but it looks like he is maxing his W first. So typically you do see Renektons go for Q first, but he's going to max that W for the extra damage, basically, when he gets in there to get the stun off. There it is. Gets the W off, and he gets the Ignite down as well. Goes for the second, the dash of the slash and dash, and Nasus will not die, but he will go extremely low here. Unfortunately, the Q coming out of Renekton is actually going to allow him to heal. Nasus, however, has the innate healing. Not sure why he would put down the E, as it will just push his wave even more when he wants to come back to a nice juicy wave. So really nice exchange happening top lane. Still 1-1 and a 300 gold lead, most of that coming from I think all the assists that were going on. However, there is a pretty decent CS lead in the mid lane, and bottom lane only 4 CS, actually 3 CS now at this point for Ezreal. I would have expected with that early kill he would have been a little bit higher than that. So nice wave clearing here from Red Mercy, really pushing it on the Gragas, and that's what you want to do against this guy. Force him to basically CS under tower, where you can also harass utilizing your range against the melee champion. But in we go. Wrath is going to be going forward here, and the Ignite comes out. Really unfortunate that he was forced to burn a summoner there, or that he chose to burn a summoner, really. Pretty rough stuff. And now, one thing I didn't mention as well, the trinkets. You've got the only red trinket in the game, the reveal of stealth on Jarvan. I actually really like seeing that on junglers. Oh, but here we go. Actually, we got a dive coming in from Leona. Because she is so tanky, however, she's not going to take too much damage, despite the fact that she was locked up under tower. Took 2 tower shots. Or 1, but she also took a beating. I didn't catch that, but she took a beating from the other characters. In comes MFG next up into this top lane. No level 6 for Renekton, but man, beautiful slice and dice. I called it slash and dash earlier. Pretty sure those are like reboot characters. But slice and dice. Gets away from that one. Really nice mechanics there, and just knowing your character, how he works, and getting out of there. Mostly just CS wards going around the map here. So let's take a look at the wards. You got the blue side warding their own tri-brush. They've been pushing tower pretty much all game in that bottom lane. And red side has warded their own mini brush, the river brush. I think they should also be trying to maintain some ward control over the tri-brush, but even if they don't take out the enemy ward, they should be keeping their own wards in there. That's a really well-known gank route, especially in recent seasons. It was kind of just like a higher level thing to do, but of course that trickles down and definitely goes to the lower end players as well. And you can see here Leona jumps in there and gets under tower yet again, takes a tower shot, stun from Annie, and just a beating from the name that I'm not going to pronounce on this PG stream, but from Jinx. Really taking a beating there. Mid lane, 53 CS to 49. Really doing a great job there on Gragas, I have to say, for keeping up in a matchup that was looking to start out very poorly with First Blood. Red Mercy picks up blue buff, and Jarvan, Scumbag Jarvan, forces him to clear out the rest of the minions there, but not going to be an issue. Lysandra will get back to lane in no time. So let's make some predictions here. I think the next kill is probably going to happen in top lane. And I'm actually going to go against the grain here and say that the Nasus, who is behind 13 CS, is going to get the kill. Now, top lane with tanky characters, kills don't happen quite that often, but let's see how it goes. I'm a big Nasus fan, and like I said, it's either going to be an early Sunfire or an early Brutalizer for the Renekton. Seems as though he's going to be building up towards the Brutalizer. And I don't know, not too much else going on. They could be thinking about Dragon here on either side. Doesn't seem as though that is actually the case, but they definitely could be. Now, usually in games where you're either solo queue or the solo queue hero tournament, you're probably not going to be thinking about too many global objectives. Actually, an ultimate coming across. Ezreal picks up just a small minion. We saw the 7 gold pop up, but tried to steal that red buff with the ward that was there. But yeah, typically you don't see that kind of stuff. So it's going to be Vi coming into the top lane here. Hopefully my prediction comes true. Nasus is going to start the beatdown onto Renekton here. Is this actually going to be a thing? Did I call that from blindness? Oh, and it will be Vi not picking up the kill quite yet, but she will get it. I called who died. I did call it. I don't know how, but the Frank, man. I don't know, some mad predictions. Vi would do best to push down that wave. It looks like she's not going to do so. It's still going to work out. It's not going to be an RNG, or a random numbers generator, as people refer to it, where the wave just randomly generates who's going to win. It is actually going to push in Nasus's favor, which means that it's going to push towards him to farm. Now, I'm going to call it favor when it's pushing to the enemy team as soon as towers are cracked, or as soon as there's grouping. But as for right now, when laning phase is still happening, it's in your favor when their wave pushes towards you, because you get to farm that wave. So again, some great mechanics, by the way, coming out from Gragas, getting every single one of those, using the tower shots to his advantage and not his detriment. I mean, that's just indicative of some pretty high-level play. Alright, so Leona seems to have kind of had this Ezreal maybe put a leash on her, because she is no longer making those crazy dive-ins, tossing out that umbrella and getting some damage off, because it really was not working in the past. Again, Gragas, by the way. I love the nuances. I love the little mechanics. When I see somebody farming perfectly with a melee champion against a ranged and under tower, at that, I absolutely love it. Some exchanging going down in the bottom lane. Now let's take a look at items, because it is interesting to note how this is playing out. So, Boots in the lead, basically, for Ezreal. He's got a couple extra potions in there as well. But before I get to that, it seems as though I'm going to have to cast some action happening in top lane. Jarvan not being noticed there, or really not being cared about, as MFG next, getting jumped on here, has that red buff taking on her, and Renekton just needs to stand up to her for a second. Bottom, there is a kill as well, as Ezreal picks up another kill for himself. Still tagging the turret, though. Sad Dad is going to be a real sad dad, as he just takes way too many turret shots. He just started farming, and I don't think he noticed that the tower was still on him, so a kill actually being exchanged there. Nasus will grab that one up, and it was just a really clean under the tower kill. Really unfortunate that it had to go that way, but sad dad, got to work on noticing when there is a tower hitting you. And there, of course, with the not so recent development of the tower showing the line being drawn to where the tower is shooting, I think you should have noticed that. But anyways, I'm not going to dwell on that. Let's take a look at what else is happening across the board. Leona rushing out that Giant's belt. I'm pretty impressed with that. However, I think you kind of need a relic. If she would have just gotten that earlier on, I really think she would have been at least a good chunk more gold than she's got currently. So it's I'm kind of against how that worked out, but she does have a Doran shield, and she was extremely tanky. I think those tower dives that she did early would have played out a lot worse if she had a relic, but I also don't think she should have been making those plays. Taking a look at some other items here, as 3 characters are getting spotted around Dragon here. They're probably going to make a play on it. They do have Vi there. I don't know if they know whether or not the Dragon has been warded, and you do see a relic switch for Vi, so she's going to be able to clear out those wards. Ooh. She's got a flash into beauty there. Alright, so they will actually back away from that one. Now, you do have Ancient Golem on both junglers currently, level 1 boots. They're pretty much on the same boat. BF Sword, however, for the 80 carries, and going for an extra long sword over the boots for Jinx here. Now, that could have come down to gold. However, I believe boots are only 5 extra gold. But when you gotta rush, you gotta rush. There's no time for taking your time in this game. Now, another ultimate coming out from Ezreal. He's trying to steal that blue. Is it going to happen? Oh, it is not. Good attempt. 2 times in a row now, though. He is denied by simply not timing it out properly. But yeah, so let's take a look at some other things that are happening here. You've got now going away from the early brutalizer. I have no idea why you would skip that. Is a really, really good item or a good idea to combine your items, especially when it's into a brutalizer like that. But he is instead going to be rushing out Sunfire Cape, so deciding that going tanky is a little bit more important at this point. However, he does have a 23 CS lead, so he's doing pretty well for himself. I'm not going to... You can't judge something that's working. In comes Jarvan into the bottom lane. However, Wrath as well is getting in there. Nice ultimate, actually. Utilizing the ultimate just as Gragas throws out the barrel so that he couldn't actually activate the barrel. Moved himself away from the barrel, and I'm pretty sure he didn't take damage from it. He did get ulted, however, and I'm almost certain that he was forced to flash away. No, he didn't flash away. He just used his E, so smart stuff there. Just saving your summoners. Always a good idea. Sounds like a really analytical book title. Save your summoners. Alright, in comes Wrath, and it's going to be an ultimate. Beautiful flash from Red Mercy, by the way, getting himself out of there. And he's just going to jump back into the fray so that he can throw out some extra abilities. He knew he was going to die from the Ignite. Really nice stuff, but in comes the ultimate from Jinx. And Reckless Schlong, who I will now say his name on stream, picks up a kill for himself. First kill, actually, for himself. Ezreal now working on 2-0-0 versus the 1-1-1 of Jinx. Nice start on the engage here. Ezreal, however, nowhere to be found. Barrier comes out. Ezreal doing a lot of damage with those auto attacks. 1Q. Down he goes. Blue buff exchanged. But in comes Stricken Blaze. He's also low. Macube X is going to probably drop to the ante here. Needs to get Tibbers in there, but that last auto attack is going to do the trick there. Firing out another Q. Gets the blue buff exchange. That's going to work very nicely for the cooldown. And throwing out auto attacks with the armor is just too much. And the magic resist will get away from that one for the Leona. I have no idea how she survived that. Flashing away here is Jarvan. Does he have the flag and drag available? Nasus is going to be deterred by the turret there. However, Renekton in the top lane is going to be able to push that. Now we've got some action happening here, folks, as it was kind of almost drying up for a little while there. 5-7 now the kill count. Nasus is in bottom lane, and Renekton really trying to push up here. Uses that Q to push down the lane. As Vi, however, will come to defend this. Possibly going to pick up a kill, but no, she's just going to get in there. Really nice mechanics as well. Clearing straight across that minion line with the Q, and then the E, of course, to follow it up. Smart mechanics, smart CSing. Just some smart players. Lots of wards, by the way, from Red Mercy's team. I'm not sure whether or not he's kind of guiding them towards that, but I know warding is actually an issue in, I guess, solo queue. And even high-level play, people just are not warding as much as they used to in Season 3. And I don't think that comes down to the fact that it's only 3 wards per player, because even supports are warding less, I'm noticing. So I'm not sure how that works. Full Bloodthirster for Ezreal. Definitely not going to be heading towards the full blue build. But it seems as though he's going to be going for that Sheen next. I'm going to actually assume that he's going to go for Trinity Force instead of the Frozen Fist. Just kind of Trinity Force has basically made it's been a popular item choice for players recently. And you do have a Sheen actually on Nasus as well, which Sheen to me is like one of the key items for Nasus. Probably going to be working towards a Frozen Fist on him, however. In comes Leona yet again, charging forward here, utilizing actually the auto attack refresh mechanic, but in comes Jinx, firing off that last auto attack, and it's going to be Mintzfresh to pick up the kill. This meta sucks, however, is probably going to get dropped here, is stepping on a ward, so it's going to be able to allow Jinx to see what she's firing at, and it will have, we will have Leona turning around here, just assuming that she's not going to get away. Really unfortunate situation there, but she jumped in on the wrong character at the wrong time. In comes this top lane gank attempt, and it's going to get turned on its head here as Vi running away from that one. Nasus getting dropped. Now it's 3 characters dead. Almost a full-blown ace. This Red Mercy now picking up another kill. Gragas in mid lane. Not sure what's going on with his team here, but he was the only one left alive there for a brief moment. And that's got to be a really bad feeling when you're in this solo queue hero tournament setting. Top tower is now going to get dropped, and this is an important moment in the game. First turret of the game is going to go down here. Sad Dad is going to go to the back line to start farming this up. It's always weird to see how little damage a Renekton's Q does at any point in the game, because typically they do max that first, but either way. So with that turret getting dropped there, he's going to be in other places. However, Nasus does have teleport. It is offline right now because of cooldowns, but it's going to allow for that extra bit of mobility to hopefully turn around the fact that he's basically stuck in top lane, whereas Renekton is not. And you can see Renekton right away. He's going to be heading towards mid, utilizing the fact that Nasus is at least going to be pushing for the next minute or so. And actually, Nasus is farming some jungle creeps, just kind of getting that Q up there. So a ping ward going down in the Dragon Pit. Smart location for that one from the Leona. And the push will just happen in mid lane here. I expect that Jarvan's going to get in the fray as well. Seems as though he's just going to be heading towards the Wraith camp or towards bottom lane or something like that. He is also aware of the fact that there is no, there's no ward for his team on Dragon. Feeling the pressure, Nasus is going to step down as well. And this is kind of where the tension is going to be built. Nasus, you can see, not sure exactly where he's got to be, but Renekton as well is not really making too much ground in that push. He's against a Gragas who can wave clear like no tomorrow. So it's really not going to work out that well. Ultimate from Ezreal coming out kind of blindly, just checking on the red buff. I think if he notices that there's not a Jarvan at the red buff, he probably has to assume that Jarvan's either going to go there or that he's bot laning. It seems as though they're going to play it passively. More exchanging happening in the top lane, and the Sunfire Cape is a really big deal when you're exchanging like that. 1v1, 1v5 in a team fight, the Sunfire Cape is seriously like a ridiculously good item, despite the fact that it did go through a couple of nerfs recently. Or just one big nerf. I believe it's doing 30 damage per second, whereas it did 40 magic damage. I believe that's the case, but either way, it's still a pretty effective item. But apparently the tension that I assumed was going to be building there around that mid lane just kind of dwindled off there as Renekton just headed top lane. And this again is kind of just due to the fact that these guys have never really played together before. They're not sure exactly where they want to be making plays, who they should be supporting in their pushes, not going for those global objectives. And we're already 21 minutes into this game. Only one turret going down. Definitely not what I'm used to seeing anyways at top level play. Let's see how this one works out. A couple of exchanges being landed there. Nice job landing those Qs as well from Ezreal. However, there's a Bloodthirster as well on the Jinx, opting for level 2 boots versus a separate item, whereas level 1 boots only for Ezreal, and the Sheen, definitely the better item for an Ezreal. It doesn't need the attack speed necessarily as much, as long as he's got a bit of extra damage coming off of those Qs. Alright, Mintzfresh does have the stun available, as well as Tibbers. However, Gragas is in the fray, and he doesn't want to go for it, but there we go. Wrath getting picked on here a little bit. Gets Annie dropped on him, and Annie picks up another kill for the killing spree. Down goes the Jinx. Nasus is coming into the fray there, and you can see he's just putting on that pressure. Renekton really doesn't have an answer to this, other than to continue pushing top lane. Vi is into the mix as well. In comes Red Mercy on the Lissandra, trying to drop out a bunch of damage here. Jarvan coming back into things. He drops the ultimate off, kind of baits the team back into this one, forces Leona to flash away. Mintzfresh trying to get some tanking done, but the ultimate from Vi, Q comes out from Ezreal. That's not going to be enough. Zhonya's comes out, tries to get away. Oh! A triple kill coming out from Lissandra. Is it going to happen? Misses the Q, and it's Red Mercy Just not with the mechanics. The huge triple kill from the AoE on the Q. Just beautiful targeting. Oh my god. Oh my god. Red Mercy. You so OP. You so OP. Can we hang out sometime? That's just ridiculous. Triple kill goes down, and now we've got Red Mercy sitting on 6-1-1. 196 CS at the 23-minute mark. I would not expect anything less. Gragas at 219, however, so he's really farming it up. But, I mean, do I want 6 kills? Or, like, do I want 5 kills ahead of my opponent, my lane partner? Or do I want to be 20 CS up? I'm going to go ahead and say that I want those 5 kills. Also utilizing the fact that he had Zhonya's early, and he gets away no less. Okay, I'm going to stop dwelling, but damn, that was good. We've got Jarvan now clearing out the back of this pit. We did see the pink ward, and it's going to be actually the first dragon of the game, and it's Team Red Mercy actually going to be picking it up, so they're going to grab that one no problem, unless Ezreal has something to say about it with his ultimate. Fires it out. It's going to miss. However, it is going to do a little bit of damage there if they did want a team fight. It seems as though, seeing the way the last team went, that is not going to be the case. Mad damage coming out of that Gragas, even still. He has got for himself right now Athene's Unholy Grail and a needlessly large rod. MFG next gets caught out here. Looks like Vi actually gets stunned as she charges her Q, which, if you didn't know, that actually cancels the Q. You can't finish the cast of it. Lissandra now taking the high ground there as Stricken Blaze gets the ultimate off him, and of course Ezreal is just going to Arcane Shift out of that one, no problem. Let's see how this one goes. Claptrap's being thrown out there, obviously not catching anybody, and we do have wards dropped. And really, it's just blue buff. Everybody's fighting over blue buff right now. However, are we going to see a fight break out? This is going to be really interesting. Lissandra throws out that E, is not, of course, going to get in there and get herself in trouble. However, she did have a Zhonya, so if she got jumped on, if you burn the Gragas E, burn one of his escapes, and just Zhonya's and ult your way so that you can just survive for a couple of seconds, let your teammates catch up. Could have been an interesting fight there. As well, she would have stolen blue. Alas, the greed was not strong today. So Wrath now has that blue buff, and he is looking to, I guess, express his wrath upon the other team. However, I don't know if that's going to be so effective, considering the fact that the enemy team is really building pretty tanky at this point. You've got Zhonya's, which is really like the key tank item if you're going to be a mage. And then Jarvan, of course, super tanky at this point. Annie just has Merc Tread, but Renekton as well is very, very tanky at this point. In fact, building a Negatron Cloak, realizing that the key damage that he's going to have to watch out for in terms of burst is going to be coming out of that Nasus. Ezreal, however, does have 4 kills under his belt, 177 CS. Not doing so hot in that department. However, he is significantly ahead of Jinx, who really, that's the way you got to judge things. You can't just look at, is he up to par on the minute mark, where you're looking at that 10 roughly CS per minute. It's if he's beating his lane opponent. And he certainly is. So let's take a look. This is a point in the game where I would like to look at, you know, where do you go from here? Dragon's down. There's towers down, and towers being down is what's going to urge other players to basically go to separate lanes. So Renekton's going to go to other lanes, Lissandra's going to go to other lanes because their lanes' towers are down. So they don't need to worry about pushing that forward. Yes, you do have to defend your towers, as we do see a tower being dropped there in mid lane. But it's not quite as important as just going to other lanes, taking those towers, and possibly even picking up some kills. Let's see how this one works. You do have a pretty big grouping coming into this mid lane. Nasus does have teleport online, so we're probably going to be seeing that one come into play. Gragas is heading back right now. Could be a pretty crucial moment, however, as you do have Jinx, Annie, and Lissandra. All 3 of those are ranged characters, and they're going to be able to chisel away at this one. Red Mercy definitely wanted to get jumped on there. This meta sucks. Gets smoked as just way too much damage comes out there. Renekton even ulting. I don't agree with the ult, to be frank. However, it's going to be... it's still going to be a pretty decent kill there. I would exchange an ultimate for a kill any day, especially when you're in a position where you're pushing like this. However, with that barrel being landed there, it looks like Red Mercy actually has to back off if he gets bursted down, which he can do very quickly. Actually, oh, the flag and drag coming out, stopping the teleport from Nasus, and you don't get that back. That is a lost exchange. No refunds. Sukihana, though, trying to juke. He's going to have to turn back around. Not really juking as well as he could. And even still, not actually getting anything accomplished with the juke. Other than allowing his team to catch up. However, his team is now in a 4v3 position, and they have to run. In comes the ultimate from Jarvan. Ezreal does have Flash online. He's going to barrier Flash. A bit of a waste, if you ask me. I would have just flashed in that position. He's going to get jumped on here, and he will go down. Renection picks up that kill, and the exhaust coming out from Mint Fresh, as well as the stun, allowing himself to take as little damage as possible. Beautiful stuff. MFG next, pounding down on Reckless Schlong. Don't take that out of context, folks. But we do have another engage coming in here. Leona picks up the kill with the Umbrella Toss. Red Mercy, however, goes extremely low. And is there going to be another kill for Leona? No, it's not going to happen. Red Mercy with the ultimate, dropping down the Leona. And holy cow. Red Mercy showing no mercy as he just completely runs rampant across the enemy team here. And let's take a look at some numbers here, guys. 239 CS versus 250 in the mid lane. 158 versus 187 in the bottom lane. 214 versus 152. Wow, I didn't even realize how far Renekton was ahead here, and you can see that coming out in his tankiness. That's the top lane. And in the jungle, which is kind of, I mean, it's 59 to 94 CS, which is a big deal, but there's also 12 assists on Jarvan, and no deaths, versus the 3 assists, 1 kill, and 5 deaths. I would take the Jarvan score any day, CS included. So red buff goes down here to Ezreal. He's going to be trolling along with that sucker. And let's actually see. I didn't even check if he did finish off the Trinity Force. So he did finish it off. And the Zonius actually comes out. Oh, and Wrath times the barrel incorrectly. He tried to land it on the right at the end of the Zonias there. But that's actually going to be a nice thing, knowing that Zonius is down. And the ultimate does come back online. So there's kind of like a kind of Zonias. Pops the Banshee's Veil, though, and this is actually Red Mercy. He's going to engage here. He does have ultimate for himself, so he knows that he can take a lot of damage here. But, oh, he actually doesn't pop the ultimate. That's a big deal. Actually, that might be the determining factor in this fight as they continue to push forward here. Mint So Fresh gets dropped there as we continue moving forward. No deaths for the red team, and that's actually exactly what happened there. Is the Zhonya was not available, and the ultimate was not popped in time. The Ezreal ultimate, I think, is what caught Red Mercy off guard there, because he got hit with the Ezreal ultimate, the Ezreal Q, and I'm pretty sure there was a Braga spell in there as well. He could have canceled the ultimate from Vi, so that really wasn't the issue. But man, oh man, they dropped that tower there, and no, don't go back. You need to take something else. You need to have something else. You could have taken mid tower, you could have taken Baron. Instead, they played extremely defensively, and they're going to go back here after a clean ace. Oh, no. Alright. So that, to me, is really, again, just an indicator that we are certainly playing a solo queue hero tournament. Who that solo queue hero will be, I'm not sure. It seemed like it was going to be Red Mercy, and it probably still will be. However, this Ezreal, man, really stepping up his game here. He's got 6 kills, 3 deaths, and 5 assists. And he's got a lot of CS under his belt to boot. Let's just see if he's going to continue to be able to utilize that. Now, Red Mercy, I don't think will allow that to happen again, and I really think that he's happy about the fact that basically he didn't lose that much. He only lost mid-tier 2. Which they already have for themselves. So it is a 3 to 4 tower advantage for the red team, and only a 300 gold lead for the blue team. So basically, if we can get Lissandra locked up, Sivir Tibbers is going to be looking pretty good here. They're going to be looking very good. As we saw in that last fight, it was extremely one-sided. The gold lead completely being turned on its head here. Not completely turned around, but I mean, The difference is very, very close now. It looks like Leona trying to get in there yet again. The umbrella toss is down, and the engagement is going to happen. Sad Dad really charging forward here. Red Mercy, however, too far behind to really do much about it. Could have locked somebody up with the ultimate, and that really would have gotten the kill. I assume that Wrath is going to be their main target, despite the fact that Ezreal has... I honestly think that Ezreal's, if we looked at the graph, his damage output is higher than Gragas's. Despite the ELO difference, which you're going to see a lot. I know I mentioned it a lot in the beginning of the cast, but that's not the determining factor. That is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is just how you play. And it seems as though Ezreal is just playing very well. So let's see if that's going to continue to be the case here. Red Mercy takes another barrel here, and he's got to be careful. He saw what happened last time. He does have Zhonya's up, and that's going to be important, but he's only going to be able to get probably one combo off, maybe a second Q if he's lucky. Or if he... not lucky. I'm not going to call it luck. I'm going to say if he plays it properly. Alright, so the key being landed there. Wrath is going to just drink up that barrel. Which, by the way, I was always curious about what he's drinking. Because he seems like a beer drinker, but the liquid is purple. So I have no idea what Gragas is on about, but he's got the good stuff, for sure. If I could just get super, super huge and walk around with a barrel of booze all day and not have to worry about income, that's probably what I would do. Alright, so let's see what we got here. A push inevitable for the red team. They don't have any distinct advantages at this point. In fact, they are technically at a disadvantage. But it's the momentum. It's the mental game that's really working here for the red side, for Sivir Timbers. They've got some really nasty engage. They've got... really everybody on their team can engage other than Ezreal. Here comes Red Mercy, though, not given a hoot as he jumps in with the ultimate. A massive kill goes down on Nasus of all characters, getting dropped first, and Red Mercy really pumping out a lot of damage there. The Leona ultimate actually almost completely, actually I think it did completely whiff. Might have gotten the slow on somebody. Red Mercy jumps away from this one, fires out a Q, and will pick up that last kill. Now Gragas and Ezreal, the only two alive, surprisingly. Annie has died for Red Mercy's team, despite the fact that the two carries, the ones with the most damage for Team Sivir Timbers, are still alive. So the gold lead swinging yet again very far in the favor here of Red Mercy's team. Dragon timer only 2 minutes away, so that could be a factor as well. However, Baron really needs to be on everybody's mind at this point. Some pretty decent ward coverage going down for red side. They're going to need to get quite a bit more of it, in my opinion, if they're going to be thinking about Baron doing it themselves or anything like that. In fact, if I were Sivir Timbers, I would have utilized the fact that they were there. Actually, bottom lane, Reckless Schlong getting pounded on yet again here. Tsukihana gets popped up, though, and it's going to be Stricken Blaze, dropping Nasus extremely low here. Red Mercy catches him out, the Q being fired up from Jinx, and that's going to be a big deal. Down he goes, Stricken Blaze picks up another kill, and Nasus. This ain't solo queue, bro. You got 5 or 4 other players beside you who are communicating with you, telling you probably not to be there. He's looking for an easy kill. Almost got it, actually. Almost got it on Reckless Schlong. Burned the barrier and the flash, so at least he has that going for him. But now his flash is down, and his teleport's down as well. That's a super long cooldown that he's going to have to really start thinking about. But, I mean, the disorganization of both teams, none of them really lining up for anything too huge here, and they're not going to be taking down Baron. They're not going to utilize the fact that their main tank, or the main tank on the enemy team, is down. Alright, in comes Red Mercy. Just, man, he is so aggressive. Flies into the fray and fires out a single auto attack. Sometimes damage exchanging, I just don't understand it. But no, he was definitely looking for an engage there. Unfortunately, his team was just slightly too far behind, and the enemy team started reacting to the initial animation of the E, which I'm pretty sure it's the E. I actually have only played Lissandra once, I think, but I'm pretty sure it's the E that is that giant claw that slides through there. I'm a caster. I should know these things. I should quit my job and just study everything about League of Legends. That's what I gotta do. Maybe I could just be a giant guy with an alcohol problem. Alright, so it is going to be red side picking up Dragon here. They're going to try to equalize the gold lead, of course. Global objectives are the fastest way to do that. However, it's been pretty passive for the last little while here. Somebody's got to make that call. Red Mercy really trying to be aggressive, but you can see he's not being aggressive in positions where his team isn't right there backing him up. Now, we do have a ward here, so they know, Sivir Tibbers knows that this Baron is being DPS down right now. However, they see Ezreal and Leona in the mid lane. Do they think they can get it? I think they can get it. However, it's going to be a fight immediately afterwards. Red Mercy finds Vi, drops a lot of damage. The ultimate from Wrath comes out. Red Mercy pops his own ultimate. It's going to be a Zhonya's very quickly, shortly after. There's the Zhonya's as well. He's going to get dropped. Red Mercy goes down, and where's that Baron at? Baron actually goes down to the red team. Who stole the Baron? Was that Leona? Oh my goodness. Double kill for Ezreal, and this is going to be Sivir Tibbers just in character after character here. Wrath throws out that barrel. It's gonna be a long time before Renekton goes down. And in comes Stricken Blaze. They're going to be continuing to fight this one out. Wrath goes down pretty low here. However, Tsukihana is going to pick up that kill. Nass is now moving forward here, and it's going to be red team pushing things out as they are just completely taking advantage of the position they're in. Down goes tier 2 top lane, and they've only got Renekton to worry about for the next 12 seconds. Continuing forward here, this meta sucks. Not using 100% of the damage you could have, but that is the nuances that I pay attention to. Dropping that top inhibitor, and they do have Baron. Oh my goodness. I don't know who stole that. I need to know who stole that Baron. I gotta know who stole that one. It could have been Vi, but I'm pretty sure Vi was actually on top of the Lissandra while that went down. I'm gonna have to ask actually who got that one, because I'm sure whoever got it knows that they got it, because that's a big deal. Alright. What else do we got here going down? Basically, I mean, in my opinion, it is bottom or bust for Sivir Tibbers. They have got to get to that bottom lane, push it out. They've got a free turret, basically, in that tier 2. That's going to put them even farther in the lead. Now, by the way, this is the first lead that they've taken all game. Since first blood before minion spawned, this is the first lead in gold that they've taken. And another thing that I'm noticing, by the way, is the fact that Renekton actually is almost unkillable. We saw 3, sometimes, and at one point 4 characters trying to DPS him down, and he didn't go below half. And he was alone, so we're probably going to see Renekton really getting into the back line. And in my opinion, he needs to do it. Red Mercy cannot be the one to engage anymore. Unfortunately, the lead that he had is just not as important anymore. You've got some big magic resist items on the enemy team. Leona's going for she has a cowl for herself, as well as Merc Treads, and there we go. So it is bottom lane. Nasus, there we go, utilizing the auto attack reset just to burst it down that much quicker. And they will continue to push the bottom lane. Ezreal's going to stay mid. He's got some great escapes, so he doesn't need to worry so much about having a team beside him. But he will actually, I'm not sure where he's going actually. He's got a couple of options here. I like the path that he's taking though. Jinx is going to head back right now. Does she have home guard boots? It looks like she does not, so she's going to be working her way a little bit slower towards this bottom turret. It will not make a difference, it seems, as the push is kind of being slowed by the fact that there is a lot of wave clear here. And Lissandra's just looking to get some early damage off. Here she goes, right into the middle of the enemy team, but she gets dropped! No Zhonya's, no ultimate, and this is going to be Sivir Tibbers just continuing to push forward. This is what we saw happen the first fight that went awry for them, and it will be a lot of characters going down here. Reckless Shalom getting jumped on by this meta sucks, and apparently this meta doesn't suck so much because he is certainly abusing the fact that he just can drop these characters. Reckless Shalom picks up a kill, but the push continues in bottom lane. The inhibitor is going down. One Nexus turret being dropped. Nass is one of the fastest turret crackers in the game. Is going to be definitely dropping that turret very quickly. And, you know, I said that Renekton doesn't die, but apparently it doesn't matter as he will be left alive as the Nexus will drop. Game 1 of this tournament going down to Sivir Tibbers.